Salt Supply Company S2 factory stock. Grimberg Jewel V2s, 8 grams. $2.50. $2.34. $2.28. $2.12. $2.10. For all intents and purposes, the same marker. CO2 restrictor drilled 2 millimeters, and bolt spring has been tuned to mitigate auto fire, farting. Jewel V2s, 8 grams. $2.46. $2.36. $2.24. $2.16. $2.04. Hey guys, Sean, Less of the Verdummies. What did you just watch? What you just watched was, why bother tuning CO2 at all? Because you only have 12 grams of CO2 to use. So, Salt Supply S2, over the course of those 5 shots, averaged 227 feet per second. And yes, I'm not always aiming for the high shot. High shots, hot shot should I call them? That's a bit of a hobby thing. But I do pay attention to other numbers. So average over 5 shots, 227 feet per second on a out of the box marker. Its look-alike counterpart here, modified. So the CO2 restrictor is drilled to 2 millimeters. Shot an average of 225 feet per second. 227 feet per second, 225 feet per second. Average energy on the salt, unmodified, 19 joules of energy over 5 shots. Its look-alike, 19 joules. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how high your first shot is. Your last shot, when you average them out, is going to be the same because you only have 12 grams of CO2. And it doesn't matter what brand CO2 you have. If one cartridge had 11 grams and one had an actual 12 grams of CO2, the difference would almost be non-existent. We're not talking it's gonna add like 10, 15 feet per second. It's gonna add a couple of shots maybe. Biggest thing is CO2 is unregulated. So there are only a couple of ways to increase power over consistency, or power and consistency, I should say. And that is with artificial heat. As you saw in one of my other videos where my hand was transferring heat into the open cylinder. Longer barrel, which I did experiment with, did add power, but then it's not a pistol anymore. And the other is volume, which I started to tinker with. Hasn't gone as well as you'd think. I have that drilled cap. It added like 4 feet per second. A lot of work for 4 feet per second. So I'm exploring other opportunities there. As you know, I've also played with bolt springs. Bolt springs are a funny one because lighter, shorter bolt springs can increase dwell time. Dwell time is the amount of air that is, the amount of time the valve is open, the amount of air that's behind your projectile in the barrel. If you had a long barrel, a long dwell time will help increase velocity. Long dwell time in a short barrel is just completely wasteful. So imagine this. 5 shots empties at 12 grams CO2. I have a 30 joule starting number and a 10 joule finish number. 12 grams in this one, I get 10 shots, starts at 20, ends at 16. Then I can reload, starts at 20, ends at 16. The average will be exactly the same because it's only 12 grams of CO2. This same applies to all the markers. The Umarex, the HTPs, the HDRs. You know, you guys have seen enough of those videos so that you know shot count, shot velocity goes up, shot count goes way down, and then your average goes down, and it's based on those, the high and the low. Where tuning plays bigger dividends is HBA. So I'm just going to do a quick short test here. HBA in the drilled valve and HBA in the undrilled valve. And I'm looking at my bottles there and I'm wondering which one I'm going to use. Let's do 1100. Okay, here we go. Salt Supply S2, completely unmodified stock, 1100 PSI, just using a Umarex or MCS Umarex adapter. I'll be using the 8 gram Joule V2s again. $242. $240. $234. $236. $230. Okay, here's his look-alike. Joule V2s. So we saw 242 was a high, and then like 230 was the low. On the unmodified version. $242. The darn thing shot exactly the same, but more like a machine gun. So this brings up a great point. The bolt spring I've used now to tune for this CO2 in the drilled valve is inadequate. So I'd have to go even stiffer now. Is that an accurate representation of what this marker would do? Probably not. But 242, 242, it just ain't gonna work. Let's see if there's anything left in this. Oh, 246. Maybe I'll just scare them away with it. 242. Okay, well. That double shot. Now if I could empty the whole mag. Oh, guys. Sometimes things work out in your favor, sometimes they don't, but it proves my point nonetheless. The gains are in volume, barrel length, and I imagine if I had this as a wide open valve, I might see some gains, but again, then how far do I have to go with the bolt spring to get that reset properly? And the stiffer the bolt spring, the shorter the valve, the time that valve is open, the less air actually can get out. That's it.